Dear Polyglots, please take your seat. We will begin with the lightning talks in just some seconds, and we begin now. So, welcome to the lightning talks. This is a session of not one talk, but several talks. Maybe you've seen already the first part on Friday. We have 7 talks, each of one maximum 5 minutes. Some of them have slides, some not. And every speaker is really invited to keep track of the time. First speaker is Miroslav Shedivi with the title Compose Key. And just to announce, the next one will be Kubov, so get prepared.
Thank you. Everybody is using a keyboard, right? I'm a software developer, so I use most of my time I'm using the standard US keyboard. I will just show with my hands and without the microphone. So you have the standard US keyboard. Great, everything is at the right place. You can use your VI editor comfortably. It works. Then you want to write something in German. You have to switch some characters, some keys. Okay, you can still type and write in German. Sometimes I need to write something in Slovak. My hands look like this. Okay, sometimes I am writing French. So, okay, I have a solution for that. On most operating systems, you can find a concept of compose key. There is always some key that you are not using. For example, the 2 keys left and right from the spacebar with the advertisement for Microsoft Windows. If you just map your compose key to them, you can keep using your standard US keyboard and then just type or press shortly this compose key, and then the system knows that on the following 2 keys there will be some combination that will give you some Latin character. For example, my last name, Shedivi, starts with an S with a caret, so I type compose C S. On accent aigu, you have compose, single quote, Y. If you want to write the French A accent grave, it is the backtick. If you want to write German umlaut, it's double quote. And compose, double quote A, scharfes S, compose SS. 3 dots, compose, dot dot. Danish crossed O, is it that? Is it Danish? No.
Yes.
Yeah. So compose / O. If you want to write and so on. So just Google for the concept of compose key and try to find it on your computer. You can set it up and then use it for all Latin characters. Another tip, but it's a little bit high-tech, is to remove your caps lock and replace it with Control and Escape at the same time. So it means if you just press your caps lock, it's Escape. All users of VI editor are going to be happy with that. And if you hold your caps lock, it will function as a control key, so you can hold it and then press another button and it will be like a control modifier. If you have any questions on how to set it up, just come to me today. I am until the evening here and you can ask me and we can see how it works for you. Thank you.
I have a question for you. Thank you very much, Miroslav. Our next speaker is Kubov Romoslav, talking about computer-assisted translation in Wikimedia. And you're setting up your slides for us now. That's great. Yeah, he's actually also a technical volunteer, so it's just perfect fit.
Thanks. Okay, people, I'm Kubov Romoslav, and I'm from Wikimedia user group Esperanto and Free Knowledge. You are really interested about languages. You are learning a lot of languages, in average 5 or 6. And what to do with languages? One of my prime interest is to use language for education. For my education, for education of my peers, and for education of other people. For this reason, I am writing a lot of Wikipedia and similar free knowledge projects. How to use languages in these projects? Besides usual writing, of course I am interested about translation, because just translate is quite easier than write good article from scratch. And to make translation even easier, even better, we are using a concept called GET. Isn't it now? It's a computer-assisted translation, and it provides a lot of features and makes things easier and make improvements. How to use them? There is different techniques that are usable. You know, machine translations, Google Trends, Apertium, Moses, dictionaries, translation memory, spell, grammar checkers. It depends on the implementation of these techniques inside of the concrete program, how to use them. Inside of the Wikimedia environment, we are using content translation extension. You can find it on Wikipedia if you are registered or if you register on Wikipedia and log in. It provides two windows environment, two columns environment, which with text and one with some tools, toolset. It makes very easier the usual things that translators on Wikipedia do. So it shows the original text and just write to it in textual translation. You can see that in nowadays states it supports several machine translators. There is technically it's quite easier to add more machine translators, but there is some political reasons that it's preventing some quite good translators to be included. I will not go into this. So for you who are interested about spreading knowledge, about enlightenment of people by the never-ending knowledge, information, and you are interested about translation, I invite you to Wikipedia and to see how it can work for this very practical reason to spread knowledge. Okay, and I have 1 minute and 40 seconds for eventual questions. Or maybe time for next speakers. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Kubov. Our next speaker is Michael.
Who needs this for the table?
I'm sorry, the table?
Who needs this was written on the table?
I don't think anybody, because this is now our room, so we can use the table. So this is Michael Obersieder. Yes, use the time while you clean the table to tell the title of your talk. It is Language Changes. And next up will be Robert Durham, so please get prepared.
Okay, I am talking about peaceful language changes and disappeared languages in Europe. Actually peaceful, it wasn't always so peaceful, but I only take cases without army. First, a small map of Europe. Okay, it's not complete, and I keep some examples which know. Here's a blue one. Okay, first case, Alpine Romanics. It's still some parts left, but this part is lost to German by different cases, because, for example, in Switzerland there was no real cultural center for the Alpine Romanic, and it was replaced by the German, and this process is unfortunately still going on, and maybe in a few, in the next century, this language will totally disappear. The next case is Friuli in Slovenian. There's still some left. And this disappeared by schooling and church system because it was under Venetian government, Friuli, and some villages got the privilege to have schools and church in Slovenian, but in the most they had to use the Venetian language and were not allowed to use that language, and in this it actually disappeared. Irish. It disappeared by the schooling system. Actually, it was a bit forceful because children who spoke Irish or used Irish structures in the language, they were heavily punished. But actually, it was not suppressed by an army, only by the schooling system. And another one, Dalmatian Romanian. Actually, it was also driven out by the schooling system. Actually, they didn't really make force, but when they introduced the schooling in the 19th century, they put as many people as possible, especially the children of illiterate and not so well-educated people from the rural side, to Slavic schools. And well, they pushed them like to speak Slavic. They didn't force them, but they just didn't make that they realize that they changed the language. Okay, I finish here and I'm open for some questions in the last minute or comments. 30 seconds? Yes.
What about Polyglot?
Which one?
If I understand you're showing languages that have disappeared, Polyglot.
Where is it? Yes, I couldn't manage all cases in the short time actually, but it's also a case. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Michael, for the talk. And I have to compliment the speakers, you're all very good on time, so I have no reason to remind you. Next speaker is Robert Durham, and he will be talking about overcoming obstacles in your language challenges.
Thank you. Hi everyone, my name's Rob. I'm an English teacher on italki. Does anyone use italki here? Oh, yeah, okay, fantastic. Hi everyone. Today I want to just give you a little bit of insight into my own language learning and some of the obstacles that I've come across and how to overcome them, and maybe you can take something away from it. So two of the languages which I learned are Spanish and Russian. While I was learning Spanish, one of my first big jumps was actually moving to Spain. And I know that a lot of English learners, language learners in general, when they move to a new country, they have a tendency to get stuck in this language bubble, like a comfort zone, and then later they find it difficult to get out of it because they've already made their friends in that language. And when I moved to Spain, I was really keen on a stick in Spanish, and I stuck to that to the death. And the problem with that is, you'll find sometimes people want to use you as their free English teacher. It can be really difficult, when these people are really close friends, or if you particularly, for me this materialized when I was living with 5 native Spanish speakers from different places in a flat in Madrid. And one of them in particular I find it really strange, she got kind of angry with me when I was determined that I was going to stick in Spanish all the time. And she told me, her argument was that people get tired because they have to correct you all the time, or you're not expressing yourself well enough, or there was too much effort for them to listen to you. So I kind of had to say, look, I've moved my entire life over to Spain. I've sold pretty much everything I own. I moved over here with just a suitcase, and And like, I understand you want to practice your English, but maybe I'm not the person for that. I mean, if it's a language exchange, of course, that's a different situation. But when I explain the situation, like if you want to learn English, maybe you have to move your life over and make the sacrifices that I've made to move over to Spain. Well, after that, I didn't have to explain anymore, and it kind of cooled down a little bit. Thankfully, we're still friends. Yeah, second lesson I want to give you today is your language learning doesn't necessarily have to be you sat at home with a book or traditional language lessons. I found myself later on, this was a bit later on when I was in Spain, I've been about a year. I was teaching a summer camp in a little tiny village to the south of Madrid called Alcázar de San Juan. And I was broke as poor for the first year I was in Spain. I didn't really have any money to pay for language lessons, which I felt might have made me learn Spanish a bit quicker. So I had to overcome this problem because first time I had money was in Alcázar de San Juan. And I thought, I'm going to get some Spanish lessons. But it's such a small place. I think I was the only native English speaker in the entire village, and there weren't any Spanish lessons to take. So I thought, what am I going to do? And I thought, eureka moment, why don't I do just something I normally do in the language? So I ended up taking, I signed up for a gym, and I was speaking with the instructor the whole time in Spanish, and he hardly had any English, so there was no danger he was going to speak English with me. Big problem if you live in Barcelona like I do now. And also, I took a couple of salsa lessons, so you get a bit of culture in there as well. And the big advantage of that was when I came back to live in a big city, where I could, I found that I was enjoying these things in and of themselves. It wasn't just another language lesson. I was actually getting something out of it more than just studying a language for the sake of studying a language, which is, I guess, why we start learning them in the first place. Another problem I encountered when I started studying Russian last year. I had this, because I teach on italki and I wanted to sort of inspire a lot of my students were coming in from Russia. So I thought, what if I showed, because everybody says, oh, Russian is such a difficult language to learn. And I thought, what if I could show my Russian students how quickly or how much progress they could make in English if they really knuckled down and studied and tried some different things. So I came up with this idea of starting a YouTube channel to give some advice and to show my own struggles and how I was overcoming them. Of course, the problem with this was I'd never started a YouTube channel. I didn't really know how to edit videos. Of course, I didn't speak any Russian, so I actually started doing all of these things to try and get this channel in motion. I found I had bitten off way more than I could chew, and when I actually had the Russian classes, I found it kind of difficult to focus and I couldn't settle down. So yeah, the lesson is don't bite off more than you can chew, and be realistic when you're setting your goals in your languages, because if you can't really focus on your classes when you're in them, you're not going to get the most benefit out of them. Finally, to finish up, the last lesson I want to say is another thing when I started learning Russian was everybody told me, isn't Russian such a hard language to learn? It's so difficult. The writing system is completely different. You've got that sign that kind of looks a bit like a lollipop. You've got this little symbol that looks a bit like a house. Like, what's all that about? I thought, well, all these people telling me something's hard, it's like you're already putting a wall in front of yourself. And if maybe people believe that about their own language learning, I started telling them, well, it's not hard, it's just different. You've just got to think, you've got to like reframe it. You've got to say it's not hard, not difficult, it's just different and it's new. And from becoming accustomed to it, I started telling people, just tell yourself it's easy, and then it soon will be. I don't know if any time left for questions. No. Okay.
Thanks a lot. And we have our next speaker, who is Calvin Jackson, sorry. Is he here? Yes, oh, sorry.
I thought there was another slot, so it's going to take a minute or two to get out.
Yes, so during you get out, I will tell the title to all of our audience. It's the Finno-Ugric language family, and there's niche slides. So you just have the microphone.
And the one after that is?
The one after that, yes, it's Adam Libusha, so get prepared.
Sorry, this has to go and use the board.
Okay, so how many people here speak a Finno-Ugric language or have studied one?
What?
And that's exactly the problem I'm trying to solve. I didn't see very many hands going up. I suspect most people here know Finnish, Hungarian, probably Estonian, but I'm going to tell you about the rest of the family. Mostly I'm just going to list the languages because they're all really cool and you should know about them. I'll start from the Ugric side. We have Hungarian, which probably everybody's heard of, but we also have these other two languages. Sorry, I misspelled that one. Hansi and Hanti and Mansi. They're spoken in Siberia for lack of. I can't give a more detailed geographical description, unfortunately. We have the Permic languages, which contain Udmurt and Komi. There are a couple of different varieties of Komi. There's also the Mordvin languages. I think it's Mordvin in English. I'm not actually sure in English. In Finnish, it's Mordva, which contain Moksha, which I will speak in at the record-setting thing, and Erza. There's Mari, which I think that there are a couple of varieties of it, but again, there's Hill Mari, Meadow Mari. I don't actually speak Mari or have much or know that much about the structure, so I unfortunately can't tell you how different Hilmari and Metamari actually are from one another, whether we should be calling them languages or dialects of the same language, but they're there. There are the Sami languages, which I don't remember all of the names. There are about 10 of them, but there's definitely Northern Sami, Southern Sami, Skuld Sami, about 7 more. Yeah, Inari. And there are the Balto-Finnic languages, one of which is Finnish, of course. If I can actually write. Also Estonian. But then there's also Livonian, Vodic, Vepsa in Finnish, Ingrian, Livi, and also Karelian. These languages are all very close to Finnish, but Volga Finnish? Isn't that just another? Is that actually distinct from? I thought that was just another name for the Mordvin languages, actually.
Okay, maybe, yeah.
I'd have to go look that up. I'm afraid. Sorry. But yeah, I'm running out of time, and there thankfully isn't actually that much more to say. So I'll just say all of these languages are cool. They are all very agglutinative and have lots of cool grammatical stuff going on. Thanks.
Thanks a lot, Kelvin. Our next speaker, as said, is Adam Rebusha about keyboard layout for polyglots, and afterwards there will be Georg, so get prepared.
Okay, so hi, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Welcome to the talk that we'll be talking about the keyboard layouts. I realized it'll be actually very similar to the talk of Miro, our first speaker. So let me introduce myself. My name is Adam. I've had my deal of traveling. These are my languages and part of the world where I should be theoretically able to talk to people and stuff like that. And now, I would like to ask you to imagine the following situation. Let's say you're writing an article on your computer, or sitting, and let's say the article is in English, and then out of the blue, your friend Maria from Valencia just writes you, just because she has this immediate need to tell you about the heartbreak that she got from their 25th boyfriend. And okay, you want to be supportive, so you talk to her and stuff like that. After you're done with her, you go to read your emails. And then you found this email from your boss. He's Austrian, and he basically rebukes you for your last entry of your, whatever you sent him. And even though your inner voice is shouting at that moment, 9, you have to breathe in, breathe out, and write something in proper German with diacritics and so on. So, and for example, you are going on with the article. It's in English, but still you have to mention the name of some, I don't know, Brazilian writer with the name João Gonçalves. So there are basically two ways of doing this. Either you choose the barbaric way, which is like write without diacritics, which will bring you nothing except for the wrath of the orthography gods. And then there's the proper way. Do it with all the accentuated characters. And unless your working station looks like this, you will need keyboard layouts. So, but the problem is, like, if you're a polyglot and you need to communicate in many languages, it's kind of complicated because you need to use many. When I was learning French, I got to the point when I was using actually 6 keyboard layouts and I was just switching over between them. It was a massive pain in the ass. Who else had this problem? Let me see. Okay, quite many. So my approach to this was I just sat down and I created my own keyboard layout. What I did, I took an English QWERTY keyboard and I replaced all the alphanumeric numbers with dead key combinations or accentuated characters. So basically, it's very similar to Miro's approach, only there's no compose key. So let's say that if you want to write something in circumflex, you just press the circumflex, and then you just press whatever character you want to write the circumflex. For speakers of Esperanto, this could be something interesting. If you want to get numbers, you can reach them by pressing Alt or Option, like in Mac. But like most of the times, I used some external keyboard with numpad anyway, so it's like this is no problem. Then these are the languages that you can type in. I was obviously I was trying to do it easy for me, so basically I was concentrating on the languages I speak. But I realized that many languages can be fit in, so all these could be basically typed within it. And I was also trying to play with the ergonomy a lot. So, for example, it's not order is not random. For example, this thing, this I never know. Is it grave or acute? Acute. Okay. This acute was here, but I realized it's extremely hard to type the French A with the acute accent, so I just switched these diacritics with the acute accent. I'm testing it. I've been testing it for half a year with 6 languages or something like that. It goes. Like, it's always a compromise. Of course, that if you want to type like intensively in one language, the native keyboard is always the best solution. But if you want to have a compromise as a polyglot, this works quite well. And software that I used for Microsoft, for Windows systems, there's this Microsoft keyboard layout creator that you can use. macOS is a really cool app that's called Ukulele. And in Linux it's really easy because you just edit this one file where there's the mappings and that's it. And so, if you're really interested in like using this layout or you want to create your own layout, which I encourage, just you can come to me and like talk to me about it and I'll be happy to help you with that. So just keep enjoying the languages and thank you for your attention. One question?
Did anybody resolve the issue with sh in Romanian and sh in Dutch?
That's a good question. I have a kind of a like this group over there. Like some of them are kind of fake groups because like sh, Romanian sh, and Romanian sh isn't cedila. LTS doesn't have cedila. It's a line below. I know, but I speak Romanian, so I just put it there, and they're basically groups. Some of those groups are agglutinative. For example, I mixed Caron and Romanian breathe, so just practical, whatever. So thank you very much for your attention, and I'll pass the microphone to the next speaker.
Thanks again, Adam, for your talk. The next speaker on the list is Georg Jenik, and this happens to be me. What a coincidence. The title of my talk is The Metric System of Languages. Of course, the same rules apply, so I open my slides, set the time. So, I begin with a quiz. What is this? Give me some answers. What could this be? Some ideas? No? Think, wait. No idea?
Vowels.
No. Okay, so it's the imperial units. Means this is how they calculate. So 12 inches is 1 feet, 1 feet is 3 feet is 1 yard, 20 yards, and so on. So this is the measurement system they use in the United States. Can you imagine? This is what we use, right? Metric system. First question for you: who believes every country should adopt the metric system? Raise your hands. Okay. Actually, I don't see any. Okay. Good. We go on. Another quiz. What is this? Esperanto verb conjugation, right. So this is what you see in Esperanto is the English equivalent. This is the to be in English and Esperanto.
Can you imagine?
Can you imagine? Who believes every country should adopt Esperanto as a second language? Meaning they should teach in schools, should print information for foreigners in Esperanto. Okay. So, very nice. My talk is for those who raised their hand first and didn't raise their hand now. What is Esperanto? Just a short word. This is a guy who created Esperanto 130 years ago, so it's been around for a while. Ludwig Zamanov is his name. As you see, this was the verb conjugation. This is to be in Esperanto, so you see the only thing changes is the vowel. It's the same in all the verbs. Helpy, to help, and so on. We have some tools like prefixes, suffixes, meaning that we save a lot of words to learn. If we have the word bona, which is good, then we have malbon, which is bad, and it works for all the opposites. So varma is warm, malvarma is cold. So you only need to learn one word, and then you know the opposite just by prefixing with mal. Another affix is eo, so lerni is to learn, lerneo is school, right? So little quiz, what could be trinkeo? A bar, exactly, because drinking, drink, and you have a place for drinking. What? Yes, a pub. What is malhelpy? What could this be? Sorry? Help? To unhelp? Yeah. It is to hinder, right? Not helping, be hindering. So you can see like Esperanto is very quick at the beginning. So you have this learning curve that is at the beginning really fast. You really quickly have this understanding of all the basic concepts because even if you don't know what the trinkeo is, you know it must be a place because it has an A at the end. Yeah, cool, but who speaks it, right? First of all, actually I think, I'm sure here at this gathering you met many Esperantists, but there's also more data on this. So Wikipedia of Esperanto has 230,000 articles. It is more than Danish, more than Hebrew. There's 1 million learners on Duolingo since 2015. There's an internet radio playing Esperanto music all the time, so there's enough to play. There's enough music to play on this internet radio, and it's not really repeating every hour. The China National Radio, it's kind of Deutsche Welle or BBC World Service of China. They have daily Esperanto news. There's YouTube vloggers, so this guy like does regularly videos where he travels. He subtitles them in Esperanto and English, so you can just consume his videos and see where he's going and learn Esperanto at the same time. There's podcasts, so this is a really thematic podcast, and not talking only about Esperanto. This episode was about the Berlin Wall. And there's Anikuma, of course. This is the new app. You can find the people who speak Esperanto nearby. They launched end of April, and this is their user base 3 weeks after. Yeah, nice, but English is good enough, right? I mean, we speak English, you speak English. Why should we need a new language? This is a question for you. How many people in the world speak English? So give me a percentage.
20.
What do you have?
20%.
20%? That's good. So who believes it's more than 20%?
30?
Just who's more than 20%? Okay. Who thinks it's less than 20%? Ah, interesting. It's 20%, but not more. Usually, more people, much people raise their hand, much more people raise their hand, and more 20%. So as you see, like there's a lot of people who don't speak English, and they are excluded from a lot of culture, a lot of knowledge, all of scientific papers, for example. So meaning that if you could want to improve the situation, if you want to help these 80%, you should be a good API. If you're a computer programmer, you know what it means. It's kind of an exchanging system. Be backwards compatible. So of course speak English because it's now the de facto standard, but adapt a better standard. So learn Esperanto to give this 80% the opportunity to not learn English, but this easier metric system called Esperanto. So start here, Duolingo of course, and if you want also learn.esperanto.com, it's a language course focusing on the 500 most frequent words. Thank you. Okay, changing my role now as the host. I'm not the host. There were some people, it's now 38, some people approached me, they want to give some little talk. I want to give you the following option, 1 minute for every one of you, is that okay? Who would be willing? So I see 1, 2, 3, okay? You did not anymore? Okay, well then please come forward, 1 minute for every one of you to just give you a short, late talk. What's your name?
Olivia. Can I put a web page up?
Sorry?
Can I put a web page up? Okay. Can I write on the board though? Okay. So this is a really good business for people that already have a job but want to include more language speaking in their life and earn income. So I was in New Zealand floundering because there's very little opportunity to speak Italian or anything. So I found this because I started following everybody on Facebook, and Facebook recommended this to me. It's a franchise. It's a multilingual language exchange that you run once a week in your town, and the guy who runs the international franchise gives you all the stuff you need to run it. You put stickers on, they're like our stickers, but they're big. So if you're a polyglot, you have your arms covered in the stickers and you feel awesome. And you intimidate everyone, so then you stop doing that. You just put like 3 on a week, because otherwise they run away. Most people who come speak 1 or 2 or 3, and in Australia, in Melbourne, they get 400 people every Wednesday night, and the people who are running it in Melbourne are making probably about $500 a week. So that's a percentage. So the bar has to pay a percentage of all the drinks that the people that you bring with this event come to the bar. And then the bar pays you pay for the stickers, you pay your photographer, and then you earn the rest of the money. And I've done it for 1.5 years, and I think I earned about $5,000 or $6,000. So, and that's in Wellington, which is a really tiny city. So if you do this in a big town, you can actually earn quite a lot of money. And it's awesome. It's like the Polyglot gathering, but every week for 2 hours from 7 till, well, actually it goes till late midnight in some countries.
Thank you. Andrzej. 1 minute for Andrzej.
Yes. Andrzej.
I would like to say about language practice community. Language practice community, okay. Language practice community. There is 200,000 people are members, but active members are very few. First of all, we have Hangouts. So Hangouts, all is for free. Hangouts. This is a video conference, so is one man who is moderator or something, and 10 people can participate. There is also chat, so you can write something. When someone doesn't understand, we can make share screen, so graphic and all is clear. We have to have headphones, web camera, microphone. And we have a schedule. Monday is for multilingual hangout. Spanish, German. Yeah. So we have the next day Hindi and so on, so on.
Thanks so much, Andrzej. Okay, so then that's all. I thank you a lot for attending. There's monolingual.org, okay, remember that. Just remember that, it's org.com. Okay, I thank you all for attending the lightning talks. I hope you enjoyed it. And the next event is actually closing ceremony. As far as I know, it's in the language mentoring room. So this is... 2 minutes. We have... No, we are now over. And so, I thank you all. Actually, it was one of the last slots on the Polyglot gathering. Thank you all. See you next time. See you next year. And goodbye.